Awesome. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Feel Goodness Friday. I'm your host, Taylor Bouknight. I am the nutritionist here at Nature's Harvest Turmeric Latte Mix. And Feel Goodness Friday is all about sharing a whole lot of goodness, and that comes in many different forms. We talk about mental health and we talk about physical health. And of course, we're bringing on special guests now, which has been super exciting to share perspectives about different aspects of health. So I'm going to go ahead and request our special guest today and have her hop on. Hold on one second, guys.
I'm the special guest.
Oh, hello, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I know we've never actually officially spoken before, but we've had a little bit of contact over Instagram. So really quickly, my name's Taylor. I'm the nutritionist here at Nature's Harvest Turmeric Latte Mix. And would you like to introduce yourself and talk a little about what Food Crush is? Because we just did a giveaway over there, and it looks like an awesome blog, everything.
Oh, for sure. Oh, you froze for a second. Oh, thanks. Well, my name is Brittany Carel, and I created Food Crush, which is a food blog showing you guys how to make healthy recipes for any level of cook. I know that a lot of food blogs can be pretty intimidating and having really complicated recipes, so I make it as easy as possible, and there's always like alterations you can take to make it a little more advanced. But what I really want to show is how to have a very healthy and balanced lifestyle.
That's awesome. And I love all your little tips that you post where it's just like, here's what it means when meat is a certain temperature, and there's all these photos,
Oh,
or
yeah.
it's here what it means. Those are the best things to like screenshot and just keep them in your phone for reference when you're cooking. So
Exactly. I feel like I didn't really know how to like cook growing up. So like I feel like those little tips and tricks like really make a difference, and you can learn so much just through like swiping through Instagram.
totally. Yeah, and that's why I wanted to have you on, because Real Goodness Fridays is all about just sharing different tips and tricks that we have, how we all have different views on what a balanced lifestyle means. And I love reaching out to different people because, I mean, I can give advice on what I know, but one of my favorite sayings is you only know what you know. And I
Yeah.
think other people have such brilliant insight into being healthy and finding balance that's sustainable for them.
Hmm.
So that's why I just wanted to bring you on and just talk about what are some of your core values that you kind of follow that help you feel balanced and help you feel like you're leading a healthy lifestyle, you know?
All right. Well, backtracking really fast. I love that you mentioned that like everyone's a little different. Like what I use isn't going to work for everybody. So it's really important to find exactly what's for your own niche. But the core values that I really value in my life, first of all, is hydration. I didn't realize how important hydration was until I kind of started paying attention to it. I read a study somewhere that said like if you ever feel just like really crappy, there's two things you can do. You can take a bath, take a shower, or drink water. Something happens to your body when you are in the water or drinking water. You absolutely feel better. So I really push drinking lots of healthy fluids, and I think movement as well. For me, like if I don't get any movement throughout the day, like I'm in a funk. Like I am not fun to be around. I'm grumpy. I'm sour. So the first thing I like to do in the morning is just move, whether it's just do like very simple yoga moves, some stretches in your bathroom, just really get that movement going.
Definitely. And, you know, I think majority of the people tend to be dehydrated without even realizing it. And that's overgeneralizing. But I just think we get so caught up in our days. And unless it's like really hot outside, especially during the winter, we can tend to consume less fluids just because if you're not drinking hot stuff, at least for me, I'm always cold. So drinking water during the winter is definitely, I have to remind myself. But you're right. If just hydrating it, it improves your digestion. It improves, you know, your whole gastrointestinal function and everything like that, as well as your brain needs water. Like I think sometimes people don't realize that our brain doesn't function well when we're dehydrated. So
And it also
brain fog.
really helps with all the like unnecessary snacking because we're all in quarantine right now. We're all like staring at the pantry like, ooh, some chips sound kind of nice. But my advice is before you go for the chips, drink a glass of water, see if your mood changes, see if you're a little more full, because I think a lot of the times our body confuses hunger for just thirst.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And I've found also like with incorporating movement into my life that sometimes I'm also the type of person where I'll over drink water. Like I'll just drink liters upon liters
Oh, yeah.
because I always have it around. Yeah. And I always think, well, it's better to be hydrated than to not drink anything. but you can actually, your body knows how to balance, and even your cells, like there's a reason why we have like a potassium pump and things like that in our cells, is to hydrate our cells. And sometimes just drinking so much water can be more of a flush and less hydrating to the cells. So
Yeah.
I try to remind people who are like me and tend to drink an overabundance of water that every once in a while incorporating natural electrolytes are really good, because then
Yeah.
you're also hydrating your cells. So you're not just wasting all that water.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, hydration is super important.
Great tip. Great tip.
Um, so things have changed. We've been from being able to go to the grocery store every day and having food freedom and just like, oh, what do I want to make for dinner tonight, to planning ahead and, shopping as infrequently as
Mhm.
possible.
Oh
So
God.
yeah, which is crazy. So what are some things that have changed for you in your cooking and, the things that you're eating now that we're in this quarantine life?
Love this question. I actually just got back from the grocery store like today, like 10 minutes ago. We cut down our grocery shopping to maybe like once every 2 weeks. We're really, really focusing on self quarantine here in California. But cooking has been such a different, whole different world right now because I love to cook. No, there's no better time than to cook now because we're stuck in quarantine, but it's so annoying not having like that one ingredient you need, and it's not worth going to the store to get it. So I'm really being innovative in the kitchen, but one thing I'm really, really pushing is getting as many vitamins and nutrients as possible. We need to remember that coronavirus is actually it's a virus. You need to take care of your immune system. So instead of worrying about, you know, using this as a vacation to drink and party, like really stock up on your greens, your veggies. Like I have a green smoothie throughout the day as my snack just to make sure that I'm having enough proper nutrition going on. It's so easy to just like let this slide and eat all the chips and popcorn in the world. But I think now is the chance that you have to really just load up on your vegetables.
Totally. Yeah, and I think I like what you said, where it's an opportunity to also be a little innovative, where
Mm-hmm.
maybe, if it kind of reminded us of which cooking show is it where you get like a selection of ingredients, like, well, you have to use this and
Oh,
good luck.
when you get them
Yeah, it's like
asked,
Chopped.
like 45 minutes. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, sometimes I look at my pantry, I'm like, okay, I have chickpeas, I have frozen veggie burgers, I have some salad greens. What can you make?
Yeah, it's definitely been a struggle, but it's also kind of fun. We decide you can like you'd be surprised by how many things you can like swap in and out. Like, okay, I don't have any tomato paste, but maybe I can use some ketchup. Like, you can just be really innovative in the kitchen, and that's something I'm really pushing on my food blog. Is all right, like you are stuck at home, you only have these things. Like, what can you make? So
Hmm.
that all will all be coming on more this week.
Yeah.
And also cooking in like bigger batches I felt is really, really helpful. Like we've been doing a lot of like chicken soup and like bolognese sauce that we'll have, then we'll freeze, and then we'll have it again a couple days later because I'm not a leftover person, but you freeze it, kind of forget about it for like a couple days, and you like bring it back out. It's kind of like a whole new experience.
I like that. That's a really good idea. I've definitely been cooking in bulk as well, and I think like you said, one, it's great for lunches. So even if you don't do it again for dinner, it's like a great. I don't mind leftovers for lunches, but it also is just like a nice surprise when you're feeling really tired
Yeah.
one day. Like, I can't be bothered cooking
I
dinner
was
right now.
the other day. I think it was even last night. I was just not in the mood to cook. It was just not happening for me. And then I opened the fridge and I had a whole freaking like selection of like soups that I made prior, and I was like, wow, 10
Yeah,
points.
yeah. Thank you, past me, for taking care of future me. So on top of like all of the things that we've had to change with our physical health and eating and things like that, what are some things that you have been doing to help with mental health? Because it's obviously a very stressful time for a lot of us, whether that's financial stress, not being able to see family and friends, just a complete overhaul of change of routine. What are some things that really work for you to kind of help manage that stress and anxiety?
So I have a lot of anxiety in general. I feel like everyone does nowadays. But there's three things that I'll mention that I've been practicing every day, even before the quarantine started. The first thing I started a couple of years ago, and it sounds a little silly, but every night before you go to bed, say three things that you're grateful for. It sounds so dumb, but it works. So like last night, I was like, oh, I'm grateful for having this bed, a fridge full of food, and I'm grateful that no one I love or me personally has the virus. It's simple things like that that kind of subconsciously relax you. The second
Mm-hmm.
thing I recommend is go outside. It's so hard to be locked indoors. I'm lucky enough where I have a little neighborhood I can walk around in, but I do know a lot of my friends are in apartments where you can't even like go into a backyard. So go outside, go for a walk, get some sunshine, because vitamin D is known to improve your mood, just make you feel good, and it's just overall so many great benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing I recommend, oh, it just slipped my mind. It was to get sunlight. Oh shoot, the last one slipped my mind. I forgot what it was. Oh, it was not a gratitude journal, but like whenever you're feeling like kind of funky, just like think of something that you're really grateful for. Like the other day I was like, I think I was doing like food photography and I was like really frustrated. I'm like, oh, this sucks. Like I can't do this and I can't go there. Or maybe it was like a financial problem, but I was like, wait, like what do I have right now? What am I doing right now that no one else can do? So it's just kind of keeping your mind throughout the day to really focus on the positive. Oh, and also remember that everyone's kind of going through this together. You're not the only one stuck in your house. Like the entire country is kind of on lockdown. So it's not just you.
Yeah, I think remembering that there are so many people in the same situation, as well as like, and this isn't to, knowing that there's also people in worse situations, and that's not to minimize our own feelings at all.
I know
It's just it's just making you aware of what you should be grateful for, what you're currently taking for granted, maybe.
yes.
Um, so, and our company and myself, we're all about gratitude. One of our mantras as a company is a grateful heart is a magnet for miracles. We say it all the time. We share it on our social media. I think it's such a powerful tool that everything that you do comes from a space of gratitude that you're able to do that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's such a beautiful way to end your day as well. And something that I think I'll start adopting is just
Yes.
going to bed with that
It
thought of,
sounds silly when you're doing it, but it could even be like, I'm grateful for, having all my teeth, things like that, little things like that. And I love that your brand overall is just such like a wholesome, welcoming brand. Like I've been a fan of you guys before we even like partnered together. Like I think I found you guys even through, I think I was at a coffee shop and I was like, what is this stuff like you're putting in there? Like, oh, this is like the turmeric, whatever. And since then I've been hooked on it. But I do, and I also really, like to shop and work with brands that have just good core values in general. I think you'd be surprised by how many brands out there are not as like holistic and wholesome as you think. So when you find a good brand, it's actually a really great thing.
yeah, it's definitely been a journey. And I mean, to make a long story short, we never really intended to be a company. I was the nutritionist at a health food shop when we were making like turmeric lattes. And then our customers were the ones who were like, can you package this and turn this into something? And that was in Australia maybe 6 or 7 years ago now. So it's been like a really big journey for us as a company. But we always want to stay grounded in the fact that we have our roots in the right place. Every time we source new ingredients, we really try and do it from a space of finding fair trade, working closely with the people who grow our ingredients and things like that. That's a whole nother tangent, but I really
I love
appreciate.
it.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to touch on quickly too is we've mentioned it a couple times. Movement is super important. I'm going to share at the end of every episode. I kind of share Taylor's tips and tips on movement. But I wanted to know, what have you been? What? All right, pre-quarantine, what kind of movement really inspires you and makes you happy and feel good? And now that we're kind of self-isolating, what have you changed, if anything, and what makes you feel good right now?
So pre-quarantine, I am obsessed with like high intensity, heart pounding on the floor, just aggressive workouts. Like I love a good hit training. So I go to F45, which is like like an Orange Theory type of gym out
Mhm.
here. I do that very regularly. But the reason why I like that kind of gym is because I like when someone's pushing me. I love when someone's like in my ear saying, you can do this, keep going. And now that we're in quarantine, I don't have that. So I've actually really gotten into like e-fitness guides. I went
Okay.
online, found a couple because I love when I can have a routine. I'm such a routine person. I like to have like day one, I'm going to do this, day two, do this. So I found that going on some e-books, like e-fitness tutorials, I can really stay on track, stay focused. I know that I have something to look forward to tomorrow. And a lot of the people, even like fitness influencers, are doing like these like real-time workouts.
Mm-hmm.
Actually like do the crunches with the lady on the computer, and you're not just like kind of cheating yourself when she's like, okay, do it like 3 rounds for 12 sets. I'm like, oh no. So I'm like, I love that I can do it with them, and I highly recommend it. If you go on Google and you go to YouTube, you're like 10-minute ab real time workout, you'll find 100 of them, and it's a great way to stay really motivated.
Definitely. I am definitely taking advantage and so thankful for so many fitness people who are sharing those workout routines right now. So that was kind of, one of my tips was find movement that's going to benefit both your mental and physical health right now. Things that make you smile and laugh. And of course, things are changing. Dedication is super important, if you're training for something, but I tell the average person, not like athletes who are like training for the next thing, but the average person, do things that are going to move your body, make you feel good physically, but also bring joy to you. Like, don't try and like make this the day, the time where it's like, oh, I'm going to get the fittest I possibly
Yeah,
can be.
that's not going to lead to a healthy end result. And I've been there. I've been like, oh yeah, I think in the beginning of this quarantine, I was like, oh, I'm going to get a 6-pack and I'm going to do all this stuff. I'm like, then I found myself really not enjoying it. And,
Mm-hmm.
and that, what you said just reminds me of when I go for my morning walks. Like I notice that like I just walk around. I'm like, oh, this just makes me happy.
Totally. Yeah,
Oh,
and one thing that I've been doing recently, and I've mentioned this like on my personal page a lot, is uh, I took dance from the time I was 5 years old until maybe 16 or something like that. Loved dance, tap, jazz, ballet, hip hop, all of it. And then I stopped when I went to college just because they're expensive. Took up running because it was free. and and lately I've had, friends and other people who've been posting dance classes. So I started taking ballet every Saturday with my friend Ava Gordy. So and she does really fun ones. So if you're not like, oh, I'm not a ballet person, the first week I took it, we did it to 90s hits.
ooh,
And then the second week she did it to like indie pop punk from the early aughts. And it's just been a total blast.
when you
So
link to that, that sounds like something I really want to do.
she's great, and it's fun, and you're laughing, and in between, your pirouettes or in between your like sachets and stuff, she has like little dance breaks because it's like fun music that you're doing it to.
Oh, sounds like a
Um, yeah, so I'll send you that. But anyone who wants to follow her, I'll post that as well. It's Ava Gordy, and I'm just shouting her because she's also a friend and she makes a really fun dance class.
fun. I'm a terrible dancer, and that's something that I really, really want to learn how to do. So I feel like why not learn it in quarantine when no one can laugh at me? Because
Yeah.
I have no rhythm at all, but I really want to.
Or even there was a hip hop Tabata class that I tried, and I'm hip hop's not my forte, but because I'm alone, I was cracking up, and it was probably the most fun I've had doing a workout in so long. So my advice is just find something that brings joy to you, because then you're hitting it like a double whammy. You're
Yeah.
benefiting your mental health and you're benefiting your
Oh,
physical
I
health.
love that idea. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's so great.
I'm going to share one more tip, but I'll post the question to you first. One thing that I get asked a lot when I'm trying to help people eat a little bit healthier is how to eat well on a budget. And
Oh,
I know that's shifted a lot as well, coming into self-isolation, a lot of people decreasing work, losing their jobs, filing for unemployment. It's been a crazy time. So I want to share some of my tips, but do you have any tips for like eating on a budget or anything like that off the top of your head? I know I'm kind of putting you on the
no,
spot.
that's really okay. Because growing up, we were very, very frugal. My dad is like the most frugal person in the world, and I have that trait with me now. My boyfriend's the complete opposite. He is the bougiest thing. I'm the frugal one.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I'll mention is buy in bulk always. You'll save a lot of money. My second tip is, yeah, we all know how to use like the canned beans and the pantry staples, but I think what we can do is really stretch that. So like, for example, how do I put this in a proper way? Let's say you're making like a soup, for example, in a crock pot. You can always add like more broth or more water to stretch that soup to make it feed
Mm-hmm.
more people. And same with just going with like just like frozen vegetables. I think frozen vegetables are really underutilized. People think it's really bad, but what you can do is you can quickly flash fry them in a wok, and then you have a stir fry there in minutes. And kind of segueing off the budget area, if you're trying to just eat a little cleaner and still trying to save money, I think easy little swaps you can do is just baby steps at a time. I feel like when people like try to do like overcommit, that's when you kind of fall off. So let's say I'm making like fried rice. If I just do like a head of cauliflower, which is like what, $2, and I can grate that, that's not only really budget friendly, but it's a lot healthier as well. So it's just those teeny tiny little swaps that really make a difference in the long run. but I want to hear your tips.
Well, I mainly got this because I studied nutrition and food science in college. And so you become hyper aware of what you're eating. And you just, it's one of those things where you diagnose yourself with everything. So you want to be eating the cleanest possible because you're a little neurotic when you're learning about all the worst case scenarios. But at the same time, you're a college student, so you can't afford to, go eat 100% organic.
Exactly.
And so a big part of my learning curve in the health world was definitely how to eat well on a college budget. And I think that translates to anyone trying to eat well on a budget. And a lot of your tips are similar. Definitely buy in bulk. So big things like rice and beans, and even, the dried beans, I feel like are underutilized. You can buy a big bag of just dried beans instead of canned beans. And those are super cheap. You just have to learn how to rehydrate them, which is super easy. So some of my staples in college were curries or like soups, because you could do a big thing of rice, and all you need in the house for a curry is your coconut milk, a Thai curry paste usually, and then whatever veggies are in your fridge. It's a great end of the week before you go food shopping meal,
Yes.
because
You kind of
anything.
get rid of everything. I love that. We did that the other night. It was just like, okay, what do we have? All right, let's just get rid of everything, put it in a pot, done.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites for any veggies that you have randomly, like, oh, I have a zucchini and a sweet potato and a carrot. What should I do? And you just chuck it in a curry. It's great. Pastas are super simple, and I think sometimes people shy away from pastas because they think like, oh, it's just a bunch of carbs. But I'd say the same thing I would for a curry is with a pasta, you can add broccoli to it or spinach, or you can, chuck in some protein like a chicken. You can, do things like that. It's the main bulk of it that's going to like be filling you up is cheap, and then you add in all your veggies, so you're eating, usually less of the actual like carb heavy pasta, and then you have a nice balance there as well. And I personally love pasta, so
yeah, and you don't have to smother in like a heavy Alfredo or anything either. You can use the light tomato sauce. You can do like a
olive oil,
or just an olive oil.
Yeah.
And have you read a book called The Plant Paradox? I feel like you would like it.
Totally, yeah, I've read that one.
Oh, it's such a good book.
Yeah, I'm all about food reading as well. I could probably do a whole episode just talking about like bits of my favorite food books. But if you have,
so I can knock them out during all this quarantine.
Yeah. Well, if you have any other good ones too, send them my way for sure. The other one big for me is I love that you mentioned frozen produce, because I think that does get underutilized, or it gets like a weird bad rap. And a lot of frozen produce is either stuff that didn't look as pretty, so it doesn't make it to the shelves. It's actually sometimes fresher than your fresh produce because it gets like flash frozen. So they'll pick it and freeze it right away. So there's an initial drop in nutrient level, but then that nutrient level actually stays stagnant because it's frozen. Whereas the food we're getting on the shelves is constantly kind of diminishing in nutrient level as time goes on. And not to say either one is bad, it's just to say that frozen ingredients are still good. So that, and also shopping in season as much as possible. If you're able to be near a farmer's market, you can sometimes go and get better deals at fresh produce with farmers markets. And you can often like talk to farmers like, well, if I buy this much, can we get a discount? And that's a really fun way to do it as well. But if you're just near a grocery store, shopping in season and shopping what's on sale, of course. And then my biggest thing is spices make everything better. If you have nothing else in your house but a cupboard full of spices, you can make any meal taste good. So
I feel like it reminds me of my little brother who was in the Navy, and he messaged me one day, and he's like, how do I make, like, I think it was like tacos. I'm like, okay, you need, cumin, you need this, because what's cumin? All he had was salt. So I recommend everyone should at least go out and get the basic spices, just a basic spice rack with your basics, and it'll make a world of a difference, because there are people out there living off of salt and pepper, and they need to open their eyes a little bit to the spice world.
Well, yeah, but I think maybe those, and I don't mean to be judgmental, but those might be the people who are like, vegetables are so bland or something. I'm like, no, it's just whatever you put on it.
I'm talking to all the college kids and the boys out there that don't know what paprika is.
Oh yeah, you want to like show how classy you are if you're bringing like a date over and something. If you have a cupboard full of spices and be like, what should we make? Impressed. But those are my main tips. And yeah, so that's all I have for today. But do you have any last minute thoughts that you want to share? Or Feel Goodness Fridays is just about sharing a lot of goodness. Maybe something you're grateful for right now is a good way to end it, since we talked about that.
Yeah, I'll give you three. The first one is that I am very grateful that I went to the grocery store with the money, and I was able to buy groceries, and I get to come home to my house Because I always feel about like, you know, people that don't have, you know, the ability to get produce right now, whether you're older, whether it's financial. So I'm very blessed that I was able to go do that. I'm very grateful that I had this opportunity to talk with you and everyone watching, because I feel like it's so exciting to talk about people who also understand the importance of like a good, healthy, balanced lifestyle.
Mhm.
And last but not least, let me get a good one. Let's think. Um, I am grateful for, let's see, I'm grateful for just overall, just having a positive mindset. I feel like a lot of people just are right now are not having a positive mindset. So I'm
Mhm.
very grateful that I can kind of notice when I start to like kind of get into a funk and I can change it. And so where are my emotions is what I'm trying to say.
Mhm. Awesome. That's
Yeah.
brilliant. Well, thank
Thanks.
you so, so much. It was really nice chatting with you and kind of in person over video for the first
Oh,
time.
you're so sweet. Thanks.
um, Everyone be sure to go follow at Food Crush Official,
Yes.
right? That's the
Mhm.
one. And because there's just amazing info on there. I love following you and seeing all the little tips that you share.
Thanks.
And other than that, I hope everyone has a really happy and healthy weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you next Feel Goodness Friday.
Alrighty, bye guys, and thank you again for the giveaway. Everyone recently messaged me saying how excited they were, and they were sending me pictures of their coffee. I had mine this morning. But yes, thank
Awesome.
you everybody, and have a very, very great time.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye. And thank you everyone for coming today. We will see you next Friday for Feel Goodness Friday. We'll have another special guest that I will announce probably like Monday, Tuesday, something like that. I'm really excited for this person coming on. We're going to be talking about more yoga stuff and meditation and mindfulness. And yeah, all good stuff. So again, stay happy, stay healthy, and I will see you soon. Oh, and of course, if you have any suggestions, comments, or questions, please feel free to reach out. Bye, guys.